Hi everyone, it is time for the October round of Timmy's TBR. If you are new here and you have never seen Timmy's TBR before, it is my TBR game. I use it every month to pick my TBR for the month, and it is based off my love of Tim Hortons coffee. Every month I have to get to the end of the board with however many rolls that takes, and each roll gives me one book prompt. If I roll doubles, I have to fulfill that prompt twice, and that is how many books I have to read in the month. Once a book goes on Timmy's TBR, it does not leave. So that means if I don't read it, it just rolls over into the next month, which does get us to a little bit of housekeeping. Last month, I did not read my entire TBR. I did pretty good. I read a good amount, but I did not read all of it. So let's look at the rollovers. I have 3 rollovers from last month. Now, one does have a bookmark in it, and that is Lords of Chaos. This is Wheel of Time, and I am almost 300 pages into this. But I'm not going to have it done by the end of the month. It's just not going to happen. The next one is Shadow Stitch and also Blood of the Chosen. This one makes me so sad that I did not get to this. I am highly anticipating this sequel, but it just didn't happen and I didn't want to rush through it because I'm so excited about it. So I will roll this over and definitely get to this next month. So we are starting the TBR off with 3 books and 3 fairly chunky books, but that's okay. That's all right. Now for the month of October, I am participating in not 1, not 2, but 3 readathons. 3 of them. I'm participating in TBR-a-thon Harvest, which if you have not seen the video for that, I just posted that last week, so you can see my TBR for that already. I am a co-host for Fablen for the Golden Rune team. Now, we don't know the prompts for that ahead of time, so I am hoping that some of these books will work for that. And I'm also going to be participating in Spookoplathon, which that TBR video is to come. We're going to do that in its own separate video because if not, this one would be very, very long. So 3 TBRs for the month of October. I also do have a Patreon readathon, but that will come out in its own vlog much later in the month. And that will hopefully be using these books that I'm calling on now. So that doesn't have its own TBR. I'm going to try and pull from all these other TBRs to fill the spooky Timmy's prompts in that week down the road. If you have not heard of any of these readathons, I will leave the announcement video for every single one of them down in the description box below. So definitely go check those out. And for the team-based one, might I suggest joining Golden Rune. But with all that housekeeping and with the rules of the game told to you, it is time to dive in to this month's TBR. And let's see what the first roll does for us. Roll number 1 is a 5. Gets us to a coffee space and a book with a red and white cover. So for our first roll, we got a coffee space. I am getting very low on coffee prompts. We are running through those faster than the other ones. I must land on more coffee spaces than anything else. So soon I'm going to have to reshuffle all the cards and put them back into the game. For this one, we got a prompt of red and white cover, and I am going to stretch this one a little bit for a book that I need to read for the Every Romantasy Challenge, which is Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadband. This is definitely a red cover. There is white font, and I'm going to count that as red and white. Now, I have read from this author before. I've read 6 Scorched Roses and also Serpents and the Wings of Night. I love 6 Scorched Roses. 5 stars. Absolutely loved it. Serpents, I gave a 3. It wasn't my favorite, but I have heard from most people that they think I will like this more. It is a bit more political, and there was just a bit more fleshing out of the world in this one. In this book, we follow Tisana. I think that's how you say this protagonist's name. I will know for sure when I listen to the audiobook. She was taken from her homeland as a child and now is trying to escape where she was. She does end up getting away, but does want to go back and rescue her friend that she left behind. To do that, she does decide to join the Order, and that is a group of magic wielders. She does have magic. She does have to prove herself as an apprentice, but she does have feelings for her mentor. So I believe that is where the fantasy romance comes in. Rainey put this on my list for Every Romantasy. I am quickly trying to get through that challenge that Rainey made my TBR for, so this is now on the TBR. Roll number 2 is a 7 and gets us to Roll-Up Rec. For our second roll, we got a Roll-Up Rec. This is my Patreon jar. All of my top tier patrons get to put a book recommendation in the jar, and if I land on this space, I pick one. There are some in here that I'm pretty sure I have already read, so that will obviously affect how many of these pulls I have to do. There are also some in here that I need to read for every romantasy, so that would be nice if I pull one of those. We'll see. Okay, let's reach in. Let's see which one we get. There's a bunch of them clumped together, so I'm going to try to unclump them and try and only get one. Okay, I think that's only one. That feels like one piece of paper. Okay, let's see what this is. Ooh, I don't know what this is. This is the Witchwood Knot, and this was put in by Bronwyn. Let me look this up because I do not have this on my TBR, so I need to look it up. Okay, so I can instantly see why Bronwyn recommended this to me. Instantly. First of all, the cover, fabulous. Second of all, the series is called Victorian Fairy Tales. Anything fairy tales always gets my attention, so I can definitely see why this was recommended. Now, because this book was not on my TBR, I know literally nothing about it, so I will have to hunt down a copy either on Kindle or at my library, but I'm sure it'll be pretty easy to get. This author is fairly popular. In this book, we follow Winifred, and Winifred is a governess who has a young charge, and one night, her young charge gets transformed into a block of wood. She realizes very quickly that that does mean the real boy was taken by the fairy folk, and she needs to right this wrong. Winnie enlists the help of her fae butler, Quincy, and they have to go into the forest. This has a magical forest too. Again, that is a buzzword for me, so this was a great recommendation. And they have to go into the forest and rescue the boy. Roll number 3 is a 6. That gets us a donut space and the prompt of Canadian author. For roll number 3, we got a donut space and the prompt of Canadian author, and amazingly, again, B&K works for this. The B&K book club never works for a prompt, and for 2 months in a row, it does. We are going to be reading Sherry Lupina's What Have You Done? This is a book club that I run with Kelsey here over on YouTube, Instagram, Discord. The link to join us is down below. We read a book together every month. We do sprints at the start of reading it. They will be on my channel in October. And we both love Sherry Lupina's writing, so this should be a success. Nothing ever really happens in Fair Hill, Vermont. Doors are left unlocked. Parents are sure their kids are safe. Everything is very up and up. Until one day, one child is not in her bed in the morning. She is in the field and she is found murdered by a farmer. All of a sudden, this town is shocked by this murder, and the entire small town becomes a list of suspects. I cannot wait to read this and discuss it with all of you, so I hope you can join us for this month's B&K book club. Roll number 4 is a 8. Gets us an iced coffee space and the prompt of book club pick. So our next roll gave us an iced coffee space, and for this we got a book club book. I love Timmy's letting me get my mandatory reads on this list. So for book club, I am going to put the second book in the Mistborn series on this list, Well of Ascension. My patrons and I are doing a read-through of the Cosmere. We started this month in September, and we will be continuing next month. I actually still have not read the first book, The Final Empire. I'm going to be doing it next week. When you're watching this, I will be in the middle of reading that book. So that does mean I know very little about what's happening in this series. And obviously, I can't tell you much about book 2 because it would spoil the first one. And I don't want to read the synopsis because I don't want to be spoiled going into reading the first one. So I am just going to leave it there that we are reading Cosmere. I finally am going to try Brandon Sanderson next week and then continue with the next book. So far, from what I've seen from the people who have tackled this book already this month, it is a winner. I was expecting it to be. It is Brandon Sanderson. So I'm excited to add the second book on my TBR. I do not have a physical copy of this, though. I am reading the series on my Kindle. Roll number 5 is a doubles 10, which does get us to the end of the board with 2 mood reads. So with that last roll, we have some good news and some bad news. We got to the end of the board fairly quickly this time. We do not have a huge TBR. We did, however, get there with a double, so that means I have to fulfill the prompt twice. Luckily, it's the end of the board, so that is a mood read and free space. So I need to pick 2 mood reads in free spaces. That's not too big of a task. The first one is going to be a book that I need to read for every romantasy that I want to read, and it is also a host favorite for Fablen. So it's a perfect month to get this done, and that is House of Bane and Blood. This book has been so popular amongst my friends. Everyone I know has loved this book, which does make me nervous. But I have to give it a try. Rainey put it on every romantasy, and honestly, it was one of the ones I was hoping would be put on every romantasy, so thank you, Rainey. The only thing I really know about this book, I am going to look at the synopsis and tell you a little bit more about it, but the only thing I really know about this book is that he has a metal arm. And apparently, from what I have heard from most people, that is a big part of the smutty plot. Camilla is the heiress to a notorious family, but her family is struggling. They are trying to not go into bankruptcy. Nikolai offers her a way out, that he will help pay off their debts if he will have her hand in marriage. So she is somewhat forced into this marriage of convenience situation. However, Camilla does not necessarily want to be married to this guy, so she is trying to find a way out of it. There is a kidnapper on the loose in their city, and for some reason, if she can capture him and clean it up, she will be able to get the money she needs to help her family without going through with this marriage. So that is kind of her goal in this whole situation. While she is trying to do this, she does end up getting some forbidden feelings for her husband. So we'll see what happens there. But I do know this is a smutty book, so that's what's probably going to happen. My next mood read is the sequel to one of my rollovers. I want to finish the series for Ashes of the Sun before the end of the year, so I need to read the second and the third book. So I am going to put on Emperor of Ruin by Django Wexler for this prompt. I adored Ashes of the Sun, adored it when I read it in August. And I need to complete this series before I pick my best books of the year because I'm going to want to talk about the series as a collective. So I need to read both books and I need to get them on the TBR to do so. In this book, we follow 2 twins, Geyer and Maya. They were separated at the age of 5 when Maya was taken by the Order to become a centaur. Fast forward 18 years, she is almost a full centaur. He has assembled a band of rebels to take down the Order because he has always hated the Order since they took Maya. They are on opposite sides of this political war that is happening, and we see them trying to find their way through that. I cannot wait to read the rest of this series. I did not want to rush it in September, but now I have both books on the TBR for October. So here is your first look at my October TBR for Timmies. This stack has a lot of chunky fantasy on it, and then I have a lot of fantasy through the Kindle that I also am going to be reading. Daughter of No Worlds, The Witch Would Not, House of Bane and Blood, and Well of Ascension. It is a very heavy fantasy month, which is totally fine because that is what I am wanting to read. I really am only wanting to read fantasy and romance, and apparently also fantasy romance because my friends are determined that I become a fanro reader, and I am trying my best. I'm trying my hardest to become a fanro lover. So that is 9 books on Timmy's TBR. Hopefully some of these work for Fablen, and I'm sure I'll be able to get most of these done. All of them may be a stretch, but we can always roll some over into November if we have to. Thank you so much for watching. What is a book that you are most excited is on your October TBR? Let me know down in the comments down below. If you have nothing to chat to me about, but do want to leave a comment for support, leave me a yellow emoji for Team Golden Rune, because we got to bring the Fablen love to the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.